What's up everybody? Today we're going to be working on a special pair. We got these Primetime Deion Sanders Rare PE turfs, you guys. You don't see these every day. You got the Primetime right on the tongue. And on the back, you got the cross. If you guys know Deion Sanders, that's on every single one of his signature shoes. These shoes have seen better days. We got a lot of work ahead of us, so let's get started. To get this project going, we got to give the shoe a proper deep clean. Overall, the shoe isn't that dirty, but there is a lot of scuffs and stains all around the sneakers. Really, for this cleaning, we're only going to be using two brushes, the stiff bristle brush and the soft bristle brush. On the uppers, there's a lot of fragile materials, specifically the white. There's cracking and peeling going on. If I scrub too hard, it's going to get worse. The blue material is good. I'm not worried about that, but the overall cleaning on the uppers will be taken care of with the soft bristle brush. To start, we're going to take out the laces and insoles, as well as the soles. That's a different focus. Next, we're going to grab our shoe trees, place them inside to give the shoe some structure while I clean up the sneaker. Then we're going to grab our air compressor and blow off any surface dust on the inside and outside of the shoe. All good with that. Next, we're going to grab our 4-ounce bottle of solution and squirt it into our bowl of water. To start, the only brush we're going to be using is our soft bristle brush. I'm going to go over the entire upper in a circular motion. I don't want to press too much on this white material. The only area I'm going to do a lot of scrubbing in are these white back tabs. Let's start scrubbing. So far so good. I can already see a difference after the cleaning. There are still some slight marks on this material. That's simply because I didn't scrub hard enough. I'm going to be using some RESHOEVN8R wipes to try to buff that off. Cleaning is complete on the uppers. We're going to let these air dry next to a fan. Now we're back onto the soles. Before we start cleaning up these soles and midsoles, on the inside, we have some really old air units. At one point, there was some air inside, not no more. They're fully crumbled and cracked. We're not gonna use these, so we're gonna just peel these off. So it turns out we do need a medium bristle brush. We're gonna give these midsoles a good scrub. All done with the medium bristle brush. We got the midsoles almost back to white. On the outside part, we got some scuffs. We're gonna wet the towel and buff it out. After that, we'll move on to the stiff bristle brush to clean up these outsoles. Soles and midsoles are fully cleaned up. Now we're on to the insoles and the laces. For the insoles, I'm not even gonna clean them. I'm just gonna use the air compressor. These look brand new, so there's no point in cleaning them. However, the laces are dirty. Not the worst I've seen, but they could be a lot whiter. Once I give it a good scrub, I'm gonna put them in the washing machine with a separate load to get them as white as possible. Cleaning is all done thanks to our RESHOEVN8R Essential Shoe Cleaning Kit. Let's keep it moving. The next step, we gotta remove all this oxidation from these outsoles. We're gonna be using RESHOEVN8R Sole Revive, some plastic wrap, and my Vick 2000. First, we're gonna remove the midsoles to get those out the way. Usually when I use Sole Revive, I always apply it onto the outside of the soles, but for this one, I'm gonna apply it on the inside part. The main reason is because I don't wanna get any Sole Revive on the blue part. I could tape it off, but that's more work. But on the off chance that it doesn't, I'll switch strategies and apply it onto the outside. Sole Revive is applied. Now let's put these in the Vick 2000. We're gonna put these in there for a good 4 to 5 days. Every single day I'm gonna pull them out, reapply Sole Revive until we get the results we want. I'm also gonna put the uppers and laces inside the Vick 2000 with the soles to get as much of the yellowing off the white as possible. Got the uppers out of the Vick 2000 after a good solid 2 days. The uppers definitely look a lot better. We removed some of the yellowing that was on that material. Now we pulled these out early, the soles are still in there, icing up. We're gonna start the prep work process. On the uppers right now, specifically this bottom piece, there's a lot of old glue. We gotta wipe that off to get it ready for the new glue. So for this, we're gonna be using a 60 grit drill bit with the Dremel. All done with the drumming step of the prep work, now we're on to acetone. We're gonna be using this and some cotton balls to wipe down the bottom boards, the front toe cap pieces, and this back strap. You gotta be very careful not getting any of this stuff on the blue material or the white material as well. Prep is all done with the uppers. All that's left is to apply glue, but we'll do that later. Next, we got some more prep work to do onto the midsoles. We're gonna remove all the glue on the top portion and the bottom portion with some acetone and cotton balls. Shouldn't be that hard. Got all the old glue removed off the midsole. Overall, really easy stuff. When you're removing old glue, it comes off pretty easy using acetone and cotton balls. However, at first I was trying very hard not to get any acetone on the blue areas, but I realized that the glue was on top of the blue paint, so I had to remove it. After that, I didn't care too much if the acetone got on the blue paint because I'm gonna have to repaint that anyway. Now we're on to replacing these broken down air units. There's a slight chance Deion Sanders might come out of retirement. If he does, I don't want his foot to sink in or not have these soles be comfortable. So we're gonna be filling in this gap with some 5mm EVA foam. First, we're gonna grab some tape, fill it in to create our pattern piece. After that, we'll lay it down flat on the foam, trace it out, and cut. Got our new cover fully cut out. These are a perfect fit, very little Dremel needed. We're gonna be using some bar super stick. First, we're gonna be applying it to the bottom and sides of the foam and this area of the midsole. We're gonna let about 20 minutes sit before we stick it all together. While we let the glue cure, let's focus on these outsoles. These outsoles have been in the indoor setup for exactly 6 days and they look amazing. Every single day I've been applying a fresh coat of Revive and washing it off. After all that work and a little bit of patience, we got these back to its original state. Soles are all cleaned up. Again, I'm really happy with these results. I can't wait to put these on the midsoles. Next, we gotta do some more prep work. We're gonna be using some acetone and cotton balls to finish off wiping off the glue. Again, this should be pretty easy because this glue is really thin and old. Soles are all prepped, they're ready for glue. These are structure plates that go inside the shoes and I believe they help the player when he's on the field. Now let's jump back onto the midsole so we can install the EVA foam. To me, this is super satisfying. This EVA foam piece fits nearly perfect. There's no dremeling needed on the majority of this area. Everything fits nice and flush. However, just this little piece needs a little work. It's sticking up a little too much. We're gonna be using an X-Acto knife to chop the majority of it off. Then with the Dremel, we'll even it out. Prep is complete, let's apply some glue. We gotta apply it onto the uppers, the midsoles, the sole, and the plate. Let's get to it. Glue's been applied, we let this cure for several hours. Now it's time to bond everything together. We're gonna put the uppers to the side. We're not gonna focus on those just yet. Same thing with these plates. Right now we're gonna only be focusing on the midsoles and soles. I'm thinking we're gonna start on the back, then focus on this area, jump over here and finish it off in the middle. Soles and midsoles are good to go. Now we're onto the plates. Before we glue on the uppers, we gotta glue these on. We're gonna be heating them up and then sticking them right on top of the EVA foam. Now let's take care of the uppers onto the midsoles. We're gonna start with the very back. We're gonna heat up the tip, make sure it's lined up properly. Once it's good to go, we're gonna jump to the very front, make sure the toe cap is lined up properly. After that, everything will line up by itself. Glue job is complete. We got the shoe back together. No issues with the alignment. A couple of things to know whenever you're doing a glue job on this shoe or any shoe. You want to make sure when you line up the midsole to the upper, you start at the very back. All you got to do is apply a little bit of heat. Once you stick it together, let it cool down for a couple of minutes. Then you jump to the front, do the exact same thing. Make sure it lines up properly. Take your time, then the sides will line up by themselves. Also, when you're applying heat, all you need is very little. If you apply too much, two things can happen. You can either warp the midsole, or if you apply too much heat to the glue, it'll melt and it just simply won't stick together. Again, very little heat is needed. Now let's keep it moving. For the midsoles, we gotta give it a repaint. First, we're gonna be using some 1200 grit sandpaper to give it a quick prep job. Now let's get on with the repaint. Usually for these projects, I always gotta mix and match the paint, and it all starts with the shades of color I'm working with. Luckily, as I was going through all the shades of blue, I found this Royal 5, I tested it out, and it was perfect. Again, that never happens, so I can get straight to it. So for this one, we're gonna be freehanding it using an angular brush. Almost done with this restoration. The repaint looks really good. The color match was on point, and I gotta say, the lines on this paint job look better than before. Now, before we can wrap up this restoration, we gotta take care of the blue pan leather. Right now as is, it's pretty dull. There's a lot of marks on it. We wanna get it back to being shiny. So we're gonna start out by using our RESHOEVN8R wipes to give it a nice wipe down. After that, we're gonna use our microfiber towel and some ink oil. We're gonna spray it onto the towel, and then in a circular motion, we're gonna apply it onto the shoe. Shoes are looking shiny. We also get the laces out of the indoor setup. They're back to white. Now let's lace them up so I can show you guys real quick on how to remove the fogginess of the 21. Alright everybody, that is going to bring us to an end on these Deion Sanders PE turfs. This was a long project. A lot of work went into these to bring them back to life, but honestly, these look amazing. We started off by giving the shoe a proper deep clean inside and out using our RESHOEVN8R products. After that, we got into the restoration side of things. We put the shoe in the indoor setup to remove the yellowing off the uppers and the soles. The soles, there's a huge difference. Originally, they were brown yellow, but we got it back to its original icy tint. For the uppers, we had to do a lot of re-gluing. The midsole, the sole, and the uppers were completely separated. We did a lot of prep work to get this re-glue on point. Everything lined up perfectly, and we gave the shoe a fresh midsole repaint. The only thing that's left is removing the fog from this 21. For this, we're gonna be using a heat gun. Neat trick, we got the 21 back to its original state, but I wouldn't recommend doing that trick more than a couple times because it will damage it in the long run. These are a piece of history, and it was an honor to work on them. These belong to a private collector, and they're gonna go on a display shelf with a lot of other historic pieces for years to come. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. This is Vick Almighty. I'll catch you guys next Monday. See you guys.